everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me one quick favor, see that little black subscribe button on the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, hit that little black subscribe button. Really does help this channel grow, my audience grow, and I appreciate it more than you know. Also, quick thank you to our presenting sponsor, Betfred Sportsbook and the Betfred Sportsbook app. Bet $50 on any game. Get up to $1,111 in free bets courtesy of the Betfred Sportsbook. Thank you again. Now, here's the video that you came here for. Switch gears from some of the on-the-field stuff, the games coming up this weekend. And I do want to switch to some interesting comments from Nick Saban on Thursday afternoon about all things Alabama football. So the last time we saw Alabama, I think you all remember, it was not pretty as Texas went into Tuscaloosa and took care of business. 34-24 was the final score. Texas fans celebrating in the streets of Tuscaloosa. The SEC chant is ringing out at Bryant-Denny Stadium. It was really bad, and it raised a lot of questions about this Alabama team. It raised the usual questions of, is the dynasty dead? Is the season over? Is Alabama ever going to dominate again under Nick Saban the way that they have previously? But then it also raised some other interesting questions of, how much longer is Nick Saban going to do this? He's 72 years old. It feels like a lot of the programs that could be a threat to Alabama have the right guy in place, whether it's Kirby Smart at Georgia, Steve Sarkisian at Texas, Brian Kelly at LSU. NIL is changing things. The portal is changing things. How much longer can he do this? Well, on Thursday, he went on the Pat McAfee show, and I thought he actually gave some very, very, very interesting commentary about everything going on in his life in college football, but more specifically, his program and how they're moving forward. First off, I should address, it was the big headline. He was asked about retirement, and Nick Saban, politely, I don't think he was disrespectful in any way, but brushed that aside and has seemingly zero interest in retiring. Nick Saban told Pat McAfee when asked about retirement, it's kind of laughable. I love what I'm doing, and I'm focused on the challenge. I feel great right now. I love it. We've got lots of challenges this season. I'm looking forward to it, and we're all in. So I know that's going to be the big headline coming out of that interview, but we can go ahead and put the retirement stuff aside now, at least for right now, right? We don't know what's going to happen in the future. If Alabama is 3-4 at some point, if Alabama's 6-6 at the end of the year, then yeah, maybe we possibly think retirement. Like, I think for right now, we could put it aside. It doesn't seem to be very interesting to Nick Saban. I think he loves coaching football, and I think he wants to keep coaching and get this team better. What I did find much more interesting than the retirement conversation, though, he was asked a very interesting question by Pat McAfee about how you move forward from this loss. And I thought he gave a very, very, very interesting answer about that. Here's what he said, a little bit of a lengthy quote. He said, you never want to waste a failure. Adversity can break some people. Adversity can make some people great. It just depends on how you deal with it. I think we don't want our players to waste a failing. We want to learn from the experience so they have the opportunity to improve and get better. And we always have a 24-hour rule. If we win, 24 hours. We have to start all over and focus on the next opponent. If we lose, we learn from the mistakes we made. We focus on the next opponent and try to get better. That's how we manage it. It's a privilege to play here. It's a privilege to coach here. And I think there's an expectation that goes with all of that. But I think we should embrace that challenge, and everybody should embrace it and be committed to the things they need to do to improve and get better. Let me say this. I know that Nick Saban has shared some version of that message in the past about not wasting failures, get better, put stuff behind us, 24-hour rule. We've heard all that from Nick Saban. I still think that is an incredible message, and I know Alabama fans are frustrated. You're disappointed off that loss, but that is about the perfect answer that you could give in this situation. And it's interesting, right? Because the more that I think about Saturday, the more that I think, listen, we're always going to react and overreact when Alabama loses. And we're certainly always going to react and overreact when Texas picks up a marquee win the way that they did. But the more that I think about it, the more that I think Nick Saban is right. It's one loss. Nothing has been changed. We can still win a national title. We can still win an SEC title. We can still win the SEC West. And the more I think about it, the more I think that that was kind of the perfect scenario for this particular result to happen. Now, did I think they were going to win by 10 points? No. But in hindsight, I'm an idiot because I didn't think it was even going to be close. Why I bring it up. Think about what happened Saturday. First off, and think about, by the way, why Alabama can put this behind them and still have a successful season. One, Quinn Ewers is the best quarterback Alabama is going to face the rest of the year, okay? You look at the SEC right now. It's a little bit of a mess. Teams will figure it out. But Quinn Ewers at his best is better than anyone Alabama will face this year. It's better than Connor Wegman, better than Jaden Daniels at LSU, better than whoever, Jackson Dart at Ole Miss, better than Joe Milton at Tennessee. So that's one, is they just played the team with the best quarterback that they're going to face all year. They played the team with the best wide receiver core that they will play all year until the postseason if they play Ohio State. So elite quarterback, elite weapons, and keep in mind, Texas is a really good team. They have as much talent as anybody in college football and as much talent as anyone that Alabama will play all year. Now, you can argue the top 22 at LSU. You could argue Texas A&M, if they actually get coached up a little bit there, are more talented or as talented as Texas. But Texas is as good of a team as they'll see all year. So best quarterback, best wide receivers, best across-the-board talent they'll probably see. And here's the other thing. As bad as it sounds, it wasn't quite as bad as we remember it. We talked about it on Monday's show. Bottom line, everyone can talk about the defense. Oh, the defense this, the defense that. I heard a lot of, it looked a lot like Alabama last year. No. Alabama was a disaster last year. Alabama couldn't block. Alabama couldn't defend. Teams, Tennessee got up like 28-3 on Alabama last year. That's not what happened Saturday in Tuscaloosa. Remember, Alabama actually had the lead in the fourth quarter. They were up 16-13. They held that Texas potent offense to 13 points through three quarters and were in position to win. As I said on Monday's show, I also pushed back on the narrative that this team, that the O-line stinks again. I don't think the O-line was great. I didn't love J.C. Latham saying that they overlooked Texas. That is unacceptable. But I also think there's a difference, as we discussed on Monday, between a team that is incapable of run blocking, incapable of protection in the pocket, and a team that is put in a tough position because the other team knows that the quarterback can't beat them with his arm. And that is the thing that I have talked to people about all week across football, okay? Talked to all sorts of people that are way smarter than me. What I saw on Saturday was the same thing everybody else saw. Everybody knows that Jalen Milroe is most dangerous with his legs. Everybody knows that, yes, he can hit a deep ball. He can hit 1 out of 3, 1 out of 4, 2 out of 5. But he can't hit the short stuff. He can't hit the intermediary stuff. Tim Tebow even said on this show earlier this week, Jalen Milroe missed a couple wide receivers in the flats. And so Texas's whole game plan was built around, don't let Jalen Milroe beat us with his feet. If he hits one deep ball, that's fine. He's not going to hit 5 out of 6. Not going to hit 6 out of 8. One deep ball, that's fine. But don't let him beat us with his feet. And that held back the whole running game. And so I still go back with Alabama. I don't think the defense is terrible. I don't think the offensive line is terrible. I hate to say it because I'm sure he's a great kid. I don't think Jalen Milroe is the answer, though, at quarterback, which brings me to the final thing that Nick Saban said, which I thought was very interesting. He was asked about the quarterback situation. Here is what he said. He said, I think the quarterback position is like every other position. If you want security in your position, you need to play well. It's not a knock on Jalen Milroe. It's just a reality. He was not that good throwing the football on Saturday. Did he throw one beautiful deep ball? He did. But he also had a couple overthrows, a couple bad passes, a couple interceptions, and he finished the game against Texas, 14 of 27, 51% completion percentage, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. That is simply not going to get the job done, and I think Nick Saban knows. I don't have all the answers, but it sounds to me like I took 3 things out of that interview. 1, he ain't retiring. He ain't going out like this. 2, I don't think he's given up on this season. I think coaches know when you have a team that's good enough to do it or not good enough to do it, as opposed to a team that just needs to fine-tune some things. And 3, I think he's ready to give Tyler Buchner a chance. I expect to see Tyler Buchner on the field on Saturday. It's what we talked about on Monday's show. Tyler Buchner might not be perfect, but you need a quarterback that can complete the short and intermediate passes. You need a quarterback that he doesn't need to be able to throw the ball 60 yards down the field. Can he make the throws that keep the defense honest? I think he can. I think he gets a shot, and I think Nick Saban knows that.